Hello there. Another episode of Inside Out Alignment, and it's always a pleasure and an honor to be here with special guests who are always ready to bring you very uh, great information and tips and strategies on how they navigate through life, empowering you and just bring you a lot of themselves. So it's an honor and a pleasure to have Baylan Megino with us today, who is a spiritual mentor for leaders finding new direction that is centered in the heart and soul. As the founder of Global Dream Makers, she believes when you create your dream, that you'll be able to help others to do the same. As a result, there will be peace in the world. She helps people find their compass to navigate the changes life brings by organizing all areas of their life into a simple blueprint, the Dream Maker Matrix. With their dream life defined, all decisions become a simple breathing. I love that. Baylan's life experiences range from the corporate international investment world to scaling a remodeling company from a guy and his truck to more than 1 million in revenues. Living the corporate world of finance, she weathered the ups and downs of entrepreneurship during great economic upheaval and served in community organization leadership. She has served as the president of her local chamber of commerce, as well as co-founded a cultural organization with global impact. Along the way, she was in the top 10% of most viewed LinkedIn profiles and co-chaired the Filipino Community Committee for the first 2 years of the Asian Art Museum's annual celebration for Filipino American History Month in San Francisco, the largest celebration in the United States at that time. She consults with individuals and organizations to get their message to the world. Breaking cultural restrictions and expectations, she has walked through the challenges of divorce twice, choosing to end the cycles of discrimination and abuse passed down through the generation. Instead, she chose to find her own answer to the question, what's your dream? And now helps others define and live into their dreams. Baylan bases her mentoring on all her experiences and in writing the Queen's Guidebook, Keys to Your Peaceful Queendom. Queendom. Beautiful. She has been on her spiritual path for more than 25 years, learning alternative healing modalities and exploring Native American, Hawaiian, and Filipino traditions. As a bridge between worlds, she receives guidance from the spiritual realm. Belan is ready to speak about the Queen's Key, self-empowerment beyond cultural limitations, aligned leadership, navigating change, and stepping into your purposeful life direction. Bella lives in the San Francisco Bay Area, is a member of the San Francisco Cosmopolitan Lions Club, and loves travel, photography, videography, dance, cultural arts, and crafts, and exploring foods from around the world. So she is basically very open. So Belen, it's an honor to have you here today. Thank you for accepting this invitation. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Oh, I am so honored and so happy to be here, Mary. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm. This is going to be so much fun. I didn't know you were going to read that entire thing.
Yes, they need to hear it. Beautiful. It's packed and it has lots of value. So I decided just go with it and just put it out there. That's who you are. I don't
Yes,
need to say, okay, Balin, can you tell us a little more about yourself? You've aligned everything here, and which is the beauty of it. And reading it, you just feel, all those words and your navigation and everything that you are today, who you've become is a beauty. And that's an inspiration for those out there to be like, wow, you know what I mean? And get inspired to also take actions in their own life in doing something that they love, creating their dream. What's your dream? I love that. Yeah. So let's keep going. Now, you say you want to talk about self empowerment. So, what is self empowerment to you?
Well, really, at the very core of self empowerment is choice. We decide to make a choice. Sometimes we decide to not make any different, to just keep it the way it is because that is what we can handle at the moment, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
to be compassionate toward ourselves and to not push when we really don't want to push. And go inside. You are empowered. When you go inside and you listen to that voice inside, when you dig around in there and you're like, oh, what doesn't feel right? Or what am I unhappy about? Or what does make me happy? We're not talking about joy, even. I'm just like, what makes you smile? Right? Sometimes things are so difficult. It's like, can I crack a smile? um, Making the choice to try and find where is that one thing that can make me smile in this moment can shift everything. That is self empowering. That is giving yourself your own keys, the ones that work only in your lock that
Yeah.
can help you forward from whatever the difficulty might be. So, life is a matter of making those choices, making those decisions from moment to moment, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. Make a choice. And when you are consciously making that choice, when you know that, okay, I'm going to make a choice now, I don't want this to, I do or I don't want this to continue, but it's my choice.
Mm-hmm.
That is giving yourself, you're saying, okay, I'm going to make a choice that I can commit to that is my choice. It's not anybody else's choice. It's my choice. And that is so much creating the ground that you can now make that next step and the next step and the next step because you feel more solid from inside. That's
Thank
empowerment.
Yeah. So when you get to that place where you're trying to connect with your inside, as you just said, if I'm somebody or somebody who is not used to that or who it doesn't even know where to start, what how do you guide that person to get in that space of, getting that connection and being able to
You
decide
know,
and actually take action?
I remember what that was like. I actually do. It was a long time ago, but I remember because I was in a very unhappy marriage. I
Mm-hmm.
had a young child. I felt trapped. I felt I had no choices. I had no options. And so my mind was closed down. And so I started to see a counselor. And one day I walked into my session. You know, we usually sit down and talk, right? And she just cleared the table and she took some paper and she brought a cup with water in it. And then she brought paint brushes and she brought paints and she brought markers and she brought chalk and whatever I wanted to do. She brought the blank paper and she said, it's yours. And she left the room. And like
Oh,
she didn't say what I was supposed to do. What am I supposed to do with this? And she was giving me the opportunity to access my own creativity, to see what is it that wanted to come out that was not verbal, that was not mental, right?
mm-hmm.
So if we could give ourselves those moments, you know, if you just want to doodle on a piece of paper, just scribble, just do whatever you want, right? To access that space, you're opening the door to be able to hear, whoa, there's something in here. Because, you know, when she came back that day, we looked at the drawing I had made, and I am not good at art at all. We looked at the drawing, you know, and,
I'm not
you know,
either.
so she was sitting, she was, many of us, she was sitting across the table from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh, I see this and this and this." And I was looking at her like, "You see what?" And she said, "No, look." And she turned it upside down so I could see what she saw. And I could see, oh my gosh, my mind was drawing upside down sideways as I was sitting,
Right.
But that's what life is like, though, isn't it? If you look at a situation and you try to look at it at a different angle or from a different perspective, you see something different and it opens up new possibilities or new ideas of how you can approach it or what it might be that you're looking at.
Beautifully said. So, what do you think the different cultures, what do you think is the effect of the different cultures with self-empowerment
Oh,
or the
wow.
relationship with, with self-empowerment?
Especially for women.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, women have different roles. They have the same roles, but they show up in different ways. And how and what is accepted or what is possible for them is different from culture to culture. However, when you go behind closed doors, right?
Yeah.
When you are not out in the public, when you are at home, we're pretty much the same. We're there with our families. We love, helping them learn and grow. I know it's challenging right now because it's been so long
Yeah.
without a break. But we have the same desires. We want those we love to thrive. We want them to grow. We want them to do better than we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the cultural aspects of it is actually what makes it beautiful, right? Look at the different foods that we love to bring and give to our guests. Look at how we celebrate, right? Everybody celebrates something, something, and uh, it's hard to say, but because you have to look at it, it's kind of like um, you know how you have vertical blinds.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look across the whole expanse of a window, you're looking at several different pieces,
Sure.
right? When you're looking at the world, that's what you're looking at. Each of those blinds has its purpose in creating the whole, right? And in its own individual piece. The cultures are like that. We need each other to create that whole covering of the window, right? But within each piece, it has its entire integrity. It is a whole within itself. And we have to appreciate the role each of those slats has in making sure that too much sun doesn't come in or that the rain is kept out, whatever it's being used for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle, and nobody is better than or less than. It's just, oh, I am that slat in the hole. Yeah. I've
Beautiful.
never said that before.
That was a great analogy with the blind. That's inspiration right there, for real. Yeah, definitely. So when you talk about aligned leadership, I know when we started with self-empowerment. So aligned leadership, I'm not sure what angle you're coming with that, but what would you say also about, I know when we start making even decisions, as you said, deciding, we are leading ourselves also into something new or something like that. And we have to be able to take that. We are taking that responsibility, and we are that lead person. We going through the, even though we are connecting to the power, we are connecting to that inner voice, we are connecting to that inner self to make those decisions as well. So what would you say is aligned leadership with all that, as in not in a nutshell?
Well, your leadership starts with yourself.
Definitely.
So if we start there,
Mm-hmm.
or even go further back to um, where we start in the Dreammaker Matrix is right in the center, and in the center is your connection to spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
To your spiritual team, right? Which are all those ancestors, right? Ancestors, angels, guardians, all those in the spiritual realm, God, Great Spirit, however you see the organizing principle of the universe, right? Aligning to that, because that is at the core of you. It's at the core of your DNA. Was there before you showed up in this physical plane, right? If you understand that, then it's easy to then look at, well, if I am that piece of God on the earth, if I am that reflection, right? How do I want to show up in the rest of my world? In every moment that I breathe, how do I want to show up? So aligning with that, understanding what that looks like is your own self leadership. So then when you go the next step out, is like, okay, so who am I in relation to others, right? Who am I in relation to others? We have four different other areas that we talk about in the Dreammaker Matrix, but in general, the next ring, who am I in relation to others, and how can I lead my life in alignment with what I value and what I'm here for? I'm here for peace. Okay. I help people create their dreams, because when you are creating your dream, you are creating peace. You're happy. You're happy. You're creating a life that you love, right? When people are creating lives they love, they help other people do the same because it's so fun,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
right? So then when it moves out into your relationships and into your work, right? How are you living those values? How are you aligned in those values in the arena of work and relationships and all else that you're doing? Right? So when I look at leadership, I look at how is that aligning with who you are from the inside, coming out and interacting with this wonderful world that we're in, right? Did that answer your question?
Sure, definitely. It did. Yes, definitely. So, what, like, if somebody starts navigating this change, or you're trying to get to the next level, you're trying to change things, to, for the better, and but you already have like this pattern that you've been used to maybe for 30 years or for 20 years, how long that might be in your subconscious, that before you realize you're already in the space of doing that, what you're used to doing, and it's not in alignment with the new life that you're absolutely, working to, to get to. How
Mhm.
would you guide someone to navigate, through that, and without falling back all the time towards, what has always been?
Well, we're all works in progress.
Sure.
We're all works in progress. So have some compassion for yourself, especially when you're making those changes.
Hmm.
That, okay, you'll slip up once in a while, but just get up again. It's okay. The intention is that you will make the shift. So when you're making those kinds of changes, that is when it's really important that you really stay in touch with who you are, how you feel. That's one of when I'm teaching people, that's one of the first things we ask. Oh, okay, how do I feel? And then what do I want? Right? Because if you know how you feel, if you're feeling good, okay, then what do I want from there? Right? But if I'm not feeling good, who cares what I want? I want to feel good, right? I want to feel better, right? So it's really important that we keep in touch with ourselves, check in and see, well, okay, where am I right now? How do I feel about this? How do I feel in this moment? Do I even want to be here in this space with this person? And if you don't, then gracefully exit. Because if you don't exit, then you are denying the knowledge that you have about what is real for you, right? And what is real for you is, I don't want to be here right now. Okay. So if you ignore that, then internally your being will continue to press up against you and say, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Why are you making me be here? Right. So just listen. You know, I really don't, it's not working for me right now. And I just need to go and do something else. Just say it gently, say it respectfully, and listen to yourself, really, to listen to yourself so that oh, I'm caught up in that behavior that I was trying not to do.
Mm-hmm.
I made one of those decisions that is the building block toward getting me where I don't want to go. So I'm not going to take that decision. I'm going to go in another direction. I'm going to build a different kind of block. I'm going to do something different. But it's catching yourself in that moment and making a different decision.
Beautiful. So, what does the Dreammaker matrix compose of?
Ooh. She wants to know all the secrets.
Yes.
Okay, I'll see the main ones. Okay, there are five
Sure.
main ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the center, you have your connection to spirit. All right. And then the one after that, and if you think about it as going in a spiral, the one after that is your mindset, your mental area, all of those things. The one after that is physical, because now the inspiration has gone into the ether of thought, which now is wanting to manifest into physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So from there, it's like, okay, so here I am, a physical being. What am I going to do with myself? So that's where you contribute. So the next one is contribution. Now that I'm contributing, I'm not an island. So we now look at your relationships,
Mm.
5 areas. And when you start to work more with what we do with our matrix, you find that there are 6 sub areas within each of the 5. And it's almost like it is a hologram. There are the 5 within each one. So yeah, there you go.
That's yeah. It's like a layer of onion. So you go from one layer to another, and you're working things, gradually. And um, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm,
Beautiful.
mm-hmm.
So when you were in that difficult marriage situation, and when was the time that you actually told yourself like, this should be it? I need to do something else. Like, when was that time when you really was like, okay, I need to put an end to it and I need to move forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, it happened within I want to say about 12 hours.
Mm,
One one my husband at the time was a probation officer, and his caseload was murders and high level drug dealers, and eventually Asian gang members. I did not feel safe. Clearly, we were. He was threatened often. So one day we went to the grocery store, and he told me, "Go the other direction." Why? Don't ask. Just go the other direction. One of his guys was right there down at the other end of the aisle, and he didn't want that person to know that we were his family. Okay. All right. So my local grocery store, this guy is hanging out, right? So I didn't think, who would know, right? That did not feel safe. And so the next morning, um, I was going to go to work. And so I went to the car, and uh, I had learned that I needed to look for tripwires. I needed to look for tripwires to make sure that there was no bomb attached to my car, to make sure that there was no bomb behind the screen door if it was open a little bit. And I thought, you know what? This is not the way I want my daughter to live. I don't want her to learn that this is normal, because it's not. This is not the way that I wanted her to grow up living and thinking this is what I aspire to. No, no. So, and at the same time, I was going through my counseling, and I had been asked the question, "What's your dream?" And I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea what my dream was. Um, what kind of future would that provide for me if I had
Mm-hmm.
continued? And I couldn't see it for my daughter. So I said, no, this is not what I want to do. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to be happy and I wanted to be safe. I wanted her to have a life that she could um, not worry about going to the park and running around and being out of view for a few minutes. Yeah. What do we want for our children? And that's really what it's all about because as you get older, I'm older than you for sure. you know, as you get older, you start to think about, well, okay, what is my legacy? What am I going to leave behind? What am I teaching those who are coming up behind me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it feel like after you left? How did it feel? Feel like did you feel like a big load was like dropped off your shoulder? How did you feel? Because it's not always just, how we are insecure and all that. It's also good to talk about after we get out of a situation. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mhm. Well, for me, it was really very difficult. Uh, I had a mini breakdown
Mm-hmm.
because there was so much pressure and tension that had built up for me that I was not aware of that uh, I had a breakdown. And a good thing I was seeing a counselor at the time because she was able to give me some medication to help me rest. And I slept for 3 days. And once, yeah, once I got up, once I was able to function, um, uh, it took a while because all of a sudden everything that I had defined my life by was gone. So I had to redefine who I was and what I wanted and how I wanted it. And just the fact that I could make that decision was like work like a baby working a brand new muscle. It was so new to me. It was so new to me to be able to not have to think about, oh, well, I am a wife and mother, and and this is my husband, and these are the kinds of decisions that I have to make, and these are how those decisions are made. And I was not in that equation, right? All of a sudden it was, okay, what do I want? How
Mm-hmm.
do I want to live my life? And that was very different for me. I came from a culture where, you do well in school, you show up, you do the right thing, you go to church, you have a family, you get a house, you have a car, the American dream, and be successful. But where am I in all of that? Right? There was more to me than just those achievements, and
Right.
that which was more of me wasn't able to show up because it wasn't accepted. Yeah. So I had to rebuild everything.
Right.
Yeah. Which was interesting because most people thought, what is she doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is she doing? And I had to kind of step back from family for a little while because they didn't understand what I was going through. I was the first one in my family to go through a divorce. um I don't know, maybe the second one. Oh, anyway. um it's it was new territory, and
Mm-hmm.
there weren't a lot of other people around that I could look to for guidance. um yeah. Yeah. So I would say find people who have been where you are going so they can help guide you so that you don't have to make a lot of the mistakes. Or at least if you're going to make a mistake, you have somebody who could tell you what your options are.
Right.
What
Right.
somebody, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. When you talked about family, that was supposed to be my next question because I was like, okay, apart from the counselor, what other, support system did you have, or who did you also have around you to support you during that very tough time, you and your daughter? Because at that, it's not just you, and you have this little child growing, and you want to look in their eyes and brighten up, and see them also brighten up, and be in a situation like that. I can only imagine how difficult that would have been. Yeah, but I'm happy that you made it and you're here today sharing that story and being an example that um, we might not be see the end of the tunnel or see that which we would love to have, but there is always a way, and you're here today as a testimony of that, and ready to also uplift others by holding their hand and tell them that yes, it's going to be okay, and showing them the options that they have out there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, sharing from your heart. Thank you so much. Yeah. So when we are stepping into that purposeful life direction, yeah, and sometimes you might be confident, and sometimes you might feel like, oh, this is like really, 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 I'm not used to this, or it can be a lot of things. This change is not something I was looking forward to, or I'm getting to this. This is not what I was expecting, or and all that. Um, how would you say navigate through that to get to where you would love to, to that dream that you're
Hmm.
building? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, keep the vision very clearly in mind.
Mm-hmm.
There, there's some, there are some pieces of the manifesting puzzle, right? The manifesting equation, where you get really clear on your vision, right? Very, very clear on your vision. You can feel as if it's really already happening, right? You can imagine it. You can imagine being in that space already, right?
Yeah.
You get to that point, then you let it go. You let it go
No
because
attachment.
you're giving, no, well, yeah, and you're giving it to God, spirit, whatever, right? You're giving it to the world so that it can come back to you, right? So that it can come back to you even better than you could imagine. And your only job there is to be open to the guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Open to, if you're going to pray for something, you're going to ask for something, then be open to getting the answer, right? To seeing the answer when it comes your way. And it's so important. It's so important that you not get in the way. Now, sometimes it can get really, really difficult. That's, again, you have to check in with yourself. Is this just because I'm doing something that's new and I'm working a new muscle and I'm strengthening that?
Mm-hmm.
It's what's going to help me get up that mountain over there, right? Or is this just not the right place? That's where you have to ask yourself inside and check in your heart. You will know your answer. It will be very clear. You'll know, I just need to go further. I just need to keep going. I need to keep my head down and just do it because this is where it's going to get me where I want to go. Or it's like, you know what, this doesn't feel right. It feels like it's way too hard. And, everything keeps going wrong. What am I doing wrong? Right. So that's where you have to stop. Stop and just really, okay, what's happening here? Why is this happening the way it's happening? And slowly, slowly what you end up doing is you slowly start to have your conversation with your angels and your guides and your ancestors. Your ancestors are so vested in you succeeding and being happy, right? But to trust that it's not just you doing this, to trust that there are other things coming into position so that you can have what you want better than what you can imagine. Because our little minds can only imagine so much. So much more is possible. So much more is possible. We simply need to check in with ourselves to see, am I supposed to go right or left? and then choose,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is no wrong answer. That's the thing. Is no wrong answer. Your decision is your decision. And uh, if you decide to go left, it just means you're going to have a different experience than if you go right. Because as long as you keep your vision in mind, you're going to get there.
Yeah. Talk to us about the Queen's Guidebook that you're writing. Keys to your peaceful queendom.
Yeah.
Ladies, get this. And kingdom. Let's see.
Your sovereign world. I thought, well, that's a little bit too much, but
Yeah,
but I think I'm a woman, so it's easier for me to connect
to
to
relate to
being.
that. Mm-hmm.
Um, so what I teach people is, especially women, but
Uh-huh.
men also, it's like be the sovereign in your world. You're in control. It's your choice. You are in control. And so when you are coming from the space, coming from the mindset of being the benevolent queen, then what you decide is for the betterment of your people. When they're doing well, you're doing well, right? When there's something that I desire that will make me happy, then I can then come from an overflowing cup to help and have a different open mind with anything and everyone that comes into my space, right? So, how do we feed and nurture ourselves? How do we create the container? How do we expand our relationships and expand how we express ourselves in the world?
Mm-hmm.
So, the Queen's Guidebook isn't a handbook. I decided not to call it a handbook because a handbook is a list of rules, right? This is how you do it, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that way. I can guide you. I've been in a lot of territory. This is a guidebook about, okay, how to think. Oh, this is the territory. You can go all these different ways. You get to choose. You get to choose. So it's the guidebook of, moving stepping into being the queen of your queendom. How does that make you feel? What do you want to create? What beauty do you want to bring? What do you want to experience? Right? As the queen, you're in charge and you are responsible for the thriving lives of all your people and all of the animals and trees and the whole space.
Yeah, thanks for that.
So it's in
And
process.
no problem. Yeah, you're working on it. That's the
Yes.
process. Yeah, that's how all the books that we have today, they had to go through that process too. So it's
Yes.
definitely going to be on there. Yep. So thanks for
Mm.
that. And if I would ask, where can the audience find you?
Um, Everything is over at globaldreammakers.com. I'm over on Facebook. I'm in LinkedIn. Haven't quite done Instagram yet, but over on globaldreammakers.com, you'll be able to find out what's coming up, what kinds of classes. I'm about to refresh everything. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I do I do have my Dream Maker Matrix course coming up. It's 6 weeks of going through your matrix and then activating it so
Mm,
that it can happen. So it can happen. Yeah, so I'm going to be making that available very soon, very soon. It might be one of the last times that I'm going to do it live.
mm-hmm.
After it's probably going to be online so that people can do it 24/7. They don't have to wait for me.
Oh, beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So what's your dream for the next 5 years?
Oh, my dream is to create more and more and more and more global dream makers, really. That's what I'm here for. I want to see people creating the lives they really love. So, doing more of my workshops, doing more of my visioning. I have a 1 day visioning event that I do. Um, and I am also going to be having circles. Um, People call them masterminds. I call them circles because it
Mhm.
really is seeing your reflection in others, and then learning from that. So I'm going to be doing those things and just over and over and over because there's so many people I need to meet, I need to reach, I need to help. That I know that this can snap everything into position for them. You know? So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to be traveling.
Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. So, what advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
Oh, my 21-year-old self, my 21-year self. Find out how you can help. Find out how you can help. And as you are helping, find out more about yourself, right? When you're helping other people, it brings something out of you, right?
Definitely.
And then you get to see what you like. But it brings out good feelings, right? So, okay, do more of that. Do more of that. And then eventually you'll find what work you would love to do, right? Usually has something to do with service. And I would say learn to say no, learn to say no respectfully,
Hmm.
respect, always with respect, because how you treat others is how you treat yourself.
That's big. Yeah, definitely big. So, I just really want to say thank you so much, Baylan, for just letting yourself out and sharing from your heart and everything. So I'm going to have your information at the description box of this episode for those who want to visit your website or they want to get in contact with you and maybe to learn more about the Dreammaker metrics and the course that you're ready to put out there, to know more and to step into their dream one step at a time. So it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And I just want to really say thank you. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks for sharing with us today. And for the audience, we won't be here without you. We thank you so much for always taking time to listen. Your comments and your suggestions are always welcome. Thanks again. Thanks for sharing this. If you have a chance, make sure you share it. And let's keep thriving and make our world a better place. So until then, take care and bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.